entering the studios of Creative Conversations with Dr. C. You are entering the studios of Creative Conversations with Dr. C.
Welcome to the conversation.
Well, hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to another edition of Creative Conversations with Dr. C. I am Dr. C. I'm hoping that you guys had a phenomenal week. We are almost to the beginning of a wonderful weekend, and I cannot wait to tell you about this wonderful conversation that we're getting ready to have tonight. I'm not for sure if everybody is aware that I am coming out with the third book of the Love Letter Chronicles. And guess what we're doing tonight? We're talking to those authors that are in this third book. And this first guest that's on tonight, one of the authors, Mr. Royce Dixon Sr., is one of the authors. And I am super excited to talk to him. We have a little bit of history, and we'll talk a little bit about that once we bring him on. But I want people to really sit back and listen to the conversations that we're going to be having over the next couple of weeks, starting today, which is April the 17th, all the way to May 15th. We'll be talking to the authors of this beautiful collaboration of authors, just putting pen to paper and just talking about how they feel. We in this climate today, things are unsure. We're in an administration that we don't know if we're coming or going, whether or not we're going to have a job, whether we might have a place to lay our head at night. But I am super excited tonight to kind of talk to these authors and just get their spin on why they took on the invitation to be one of the authors in this anthology. And I will be able to show you the cover of this book, as well as kind of give you an idea when this book is going to be coming out. But without further ado, I want to bring our wonderful author, Mr. Royce Dixon, on so that he can tell his side of why he took on the role of being a part of this really beautiful collaboration. Well, hello. How are you?
Well, how are you? I'm good. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I was just telling the audience we have some history together, and I think our history, I can't remember when we first met each other, but our history goes back because we are a part of She Publishing. That's where I got my first book published through, and you're a part of that roster as well too. So I don't remember the first time we actually came. I think it had to have been at a vendor event. And what I want to say is IBE.
Yeah.
Maybe it was IBE that we saw each other or we talked. Maybe before then. The gala.
I think it was before that. I think it was in DC. It was the first time.
Was it DC?
We actually sat down.
Yes.
I think so.
Okay, so DC. So we were at Dr. Lawson's event.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
And then from there we went to Houston.
Yes.
And then from Houston to Indianapolis. So yeah.
In Indianapolis. So yeah, we have been traveling together in this thing as authorship. But I was just telling the audience how grateful I am that you took my invitation to be a part of this anthology. And I was telling the audience, this is the third book, the third addition to this Love Letter Chronicles. I tell people this is a movement. We're in a season right now that we need to understand what love is and to build on that, because we are in these times now, we don't know if we're coming or going. It's just unpredictable. And so I felt like this is the best time to start talking about this again. The first one came out, the first edition was actually came out with me. It was a love letter to myself after I had my stroke. And then I said, I wanted people to feel like I felt, like, empowered to speak my truth and put my feelings on paper. And so the second book came out last year. And so this is the third book. And so I said, I want to keep going until I can't go anymore. I am truly grateful for you, Mr. Dixon, because you are a few 3 men that actually have decided to put pen to paper in these love letters. And so I remember having conversations with people before I decided to do the anthology, just had the question as to, have you ever written a love letter to yourself? And so many people said no.
Yeah.
So that would open my eyes to say, well, my goodness, what do you think a love letter is? Do you not love yourself? And so in order to love somebody else, you have to love yourself. So I'm going to give it over to you because I was reading your roster of things that you're doing. I mean, you have a armload of things. I'm like, oh my God, he's doing this, he's doing this, he's doing this. When does he have time to do this? And then he had enough time to write a little piece of his heart into this book. So I'm gonna let you talk, Mr. Dixon, and tell people a little bit about you and all the wonderful things that you're doing, but also kind of give an overview of why you decided to do this love letter.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm a husband, a father of 2. What else? I'm a bailiff, photographer, author. I do a little bit of everything. I run a social media stuff at church. So I have a pretty big background of things that I do. And I really wanted to write this love letter to myself because I always thought that a love letter was supposed to be written to someone else. I never thought about writing a love letter to me until you brought it up. And then when you thought about it, I said, it just makes sense, especially after I had written my book, Blessed While Broken, which is about my marriage, divorce, and then getting remarried. And it was all about love. So this was the perfect opportunity to express that in a different way and to tell myself that, and forgive myself for the things that I've done in the past. So this is a great opportunity for me to do it. After meeting you, I had to do it. If you asked, I had to do it. So
thank you. I mean, it's amazing when you have those conversations with people and you say love letters. That's the first thing that they think about. Oh, I'm going to write a love letter to somebody that I love. But again, you have to incorporate that love for yourself in order for it to spill out to someone else. And I want to shout out to you and your wife, Lisa. You guys have been married 30 years. That is amazing. Yeah. That is amazing. Yeah. And that in itself is a love letter in itself. You talked about how you wrote your book. Is it Hidden Feelings? Oh, Blessed While Broken.
Well, that was the first one. But Hidden Feelings came out of Blessed While Broken. I started writing both of them at the same time. And then once I started writing about our marriage and divorce, I realized that I had all these hidden feelings myself. So that's what started that book.
So it's just like a continuous circle, like this just evolution in the path of writing. And I tell people, what better way to leave legacy but through writing, because it's your words and nobody can take that away. But I'm just, like I said, you're one of 3, maybe 4 men now that have taken that leap of faith and said, you know what, I'm going to put this on paper. But what really honed in on what you just said was I learned to forgive myself. And a lot of the stories that are in this book is trauma, but it's also growing and evolving and learning to love themselves again and understand that nobody's perfect. And so if your letter can hit somebody and say, hey, you know what, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, but look what I've accomplished. I've learned to love myself. In order to love myself, all these other things, these other doors have opened up for me to be able to be a 4-time 5. What is it? 5 books now? 5, because you got one coming out. Is it already?
Right. Book number 5. That doesn't include the one I did with you, and I got another one with Pamela Coleman.
Yes. Okay. So again, this thing that we talk about writing is so important. We have to be able to put our feelings somewhere. If we bottle them up,
Right.
then where do they go? They explode, right? And you as a bailiff, you
Exactly.
see it in your courtroom, right? So
Oh yeah,
again,
all the time.
yeah. So again, just being able to write that down and being able to, I always tell people when you're able to write it down and go back and read it again and read it again and read it again, and then put it away for about 6 months to a year, and then go back and see how much you have grown over that period of time, you will be
Hmm.
amazed. But
Yeah.
I was just enthralled with all the authors that have decided to put pen to paper. We have about 11 or 12 authors that are in this anthology, and I get the opportunity to read your writings, and every time I
Hmm.
read them, there's something that I am pulling out and realizing about people, that everybody has a struggle, everybody has a story,
Oh, yeah.
but what better way to put it out into the atmosphere but writing it in a book? So I am so grateful for the opportunity to have you to have written in this, and it's not the last one. It's going to be many more to come. But tell the audience a little bit about your love letter. Give us a little bit of we already know what drew you to it, but what does
Mhm.
it actually say about Royce Dixon?
What does it say about me? That's a good question. Nobody's ever asked me that. I think my love letter is truly about forgiveness, me forgiving myself for, like I said, my past. I
Mhm,
haven't always done things the way that they should have been done,
mhm,
especially when it came to my marriage, and the getting divorced. And I was the one who decided to file for divorce. And the day that we got divorced, I knew I had made a mistake, that I had rushed it, and that I still truly loved her.
mhm,
And so from there, when after we got back together, I was still hurting from the divorce because I felt so bad about hurting her.
mhm,
And she was like, "You have to learn, you got to forgive yourself for that. I've already forgiven you. God has forgiven you. But why can't you?" And then it took
mhm,
me some time to really think about it and putting the pen to paper and really just kind of working through my feelings.
mm,
Even when I wrote the book, Blessed While Broken, it was therapy for me to
mm.
get out things that I've never said to anybody before. So truly writing this love letter was therapeutic for me, and it helped me to get past the hurt.
Yeah. I think what we find is a lot of times men do not want to admit to the hurt. They don't want to admit to
Mhm.
the failure. They don't want to admit that they could have done things differently. But you mentioned Pamela Coleman. She is a true advocate
Yeah,
about men's mental health, and we talk about a lot of this stuff as I'm going through what I'm doing with my anthology. It's just like a bridge. And so being able to be honest, I think that's the biggest part, being honest with yourself. Because once you become
yeah,
honest with yourself, that release, it feels so freeing. Like you like a thousand tons have come off your shoulders, because now you can really stand in the mirror and say, you know what? I like me. Matter of fact, I might like myself. Maybe I might love myself. And so when you get to
right.
that point where you say, I love myself, and then that love becomes forgiveness, wow, it's just a new chapter has opened up for yourself, and you're traveling down a road that you never thought you could ever travel down. You're doing things that you never thought you could do, right?
That's
So
true.
yeah, it's just it's
I'm a quiet person by nature, so to
mhm,
to actually write it and go around and talk about some of the things that I've been through, it
mhm,
took a lot, but I've grown so much from it.
mhm,
One of the greatest things I can say that I've done is once I became transparent and started talking to people, I realized how many other people have been broken as well.
mm,
And now they were too quiet or too shy to even say anything to anybody because they
mhm,
didn't want to feel like they didn't want to be vulnerable.
mhm. And
And it's not easy for
that's
a
the
man, for
key.
someone, especially men, to be
Oh,
vulnerable.
that's the key. That is the key. I had a conversation on my podcast a few months ago, and we were talking about being vulnerable. and being being in a space where you, first off, you have to feel comfortable. If you're not comfortable in a space where you're giving your truth and being transparent, then nothing is going to work for you. Nothing is nothing that you can say until you're comfortable in your own skin, if that makes sense. Being comfortable in your own skin to say, you know what? I'm not perfect. Who's perfect? Nobody's perfect.
Right.
But being in that space with other people who look like you and have similar, stories like you makes it much easier for you to be able to put pen to paper and be open about certain things in your life. Nobody's perfect. And I remember being on a men's mental health show. And I remember one of the young ladies was saying, what can we as women do for our men? And I think I probably could have got killed by just being stared at. I said, you might want to just be quiet. And I mean, women like looked at me like, how dare she say that? I'm like, no, really, sometimes you just need to be quiet and allow him to be vocal, because a lot of times we out-talk you and then you don't get the opportunity to speak your truth. So when I said it, people were looking at me like, oh my God, I was actually scared to leave out the venue, because I was like, maybe they're gonna jump me because I said that. But to be honest with you, sometimes we just need to just stand still and allow you guys to have that space. And we don't necessarily have to be in the room with you unless you ask for us to be there. So I agree, the transparency. I mean, even as we move in circles together, you are a very quiet person. And so I had the opportunity to look at your book and I was like, wow, he had all this in him. Oh my goodness. Okay. And so when you because we talked about you being in the last anthology. And so we had the opportunity to move in circles this last year. And I said, look, I need you to be in this book. I really do. And so when you were the first one to send it to me, and I was like, yes, okay. And when I read it, I will tell you, Royce, it brought tears to my eyes because I saw the transparency in you. I felt like I was like just walking the walk with you in a sense. And I said, this story is going to open up the eyes to other men who will be willing to write down their feelings on paper, which is an amazing thing, because again, men don't like doing that. And so you were the first man to do it in this anthology. And last book was the first man that did it was Paul Posey. He was the first one. And in this book too, we know Mark. Mark is one of our fellow authors on the Russell G. So he's a part of this one too. So I am just super excited for people to really go and get this book. And it gives like life lessons on how to be able to, I tell people all the time, affirmations are important. You need to affirm who you are. Once you start affirming who you are, then all that light starts to shine on you, right? And so can you just do you have a little bit of your letter, to just a little piece so people can kind of know what it is?
No, I don't have it. I didn't have it pulled up.
Okay. Well, let me see if I do.
Okay.
I do. Let me see.
And while you're looking for that, I just want to say this too. You gave the women some great advice about being silent and quiet. One thing I love about my wife is she gives me the space and to be vulnerable, and she can do it in a way where she's quiet, and she talks when she needs to. And one thing that she's never done is bring it back to hurt me. Anything that I say to her, if I show my softer side, she's always encouraged that instead of using those words against me. And so that makes it easier for me to open up to her and to talk to her about different things that I'm going through. So I think for all women, if you make your spouse or significant other comfortable enough, he will eventually open up to you and tell you anything that you want to know. And I use this example.
Go ahead. You use the example
too with Samson and Delilah. Nobody could get Samson to tell his story until Delilah did. She made him comfortable. lay your head in my lap. She stroked his ego a little bit, stroked his head a little bit. And before you know it, he's telling everything. He's telling stuff that God himself told him not to tell anybody. And it was as simple as just making him comfortable.
I would agree.
So
I think when you say that, I think a lot of times we think we are born nurturers, so we want to make everything okay. But in that same scenario that I was talking to you about, this gentleman that was there, and I can remember it so vividly, he had finally felt comfortable enough to come into this circle and start talking. And when he started talking, he told, well, his significant other didn't even know half of the trauma that he had been through. And as soon as I said, sometimes we as women need to be quiet, it's like the floodgates opened up, and he just like, I was like, okay. But again, like you said, if you allow them to be comfortable enough to be able to show their softer side, then it becomes easier, and then the relationships begins to flourish a little bit more than you even could imagine, right? So I would agree that sometimes, you have to be able to be invited into that circle, and once you're invited, that doesn't mean that you get comfortable and just, go. Allow them to give the piece by piece. And when they're comfortable enough, then they'll give you just enough for you to understand where they're coming from. Oh, I see She Publishing is on. Hi, She, how are you?
Hey.
Yes, Royce's wife is amazing. She is Miss Lisa.
Yes, she is.
So I'm going to read just a little bit of your story or your letter. I'm not going to read all of it because we got to give people the opportunity to buy this book. So your letter says, Dear Royce. And I was like, I like that, Dear Royce. So it says, I'm only going to read the first couple pages first couple lines of it. So it says, Dear Royce, over the years, I've had a chance to watch you move and grow into the man that I admire. I know it's hard for you to take compliments, and rarely will you compliment yourself. I've watched you fulfill your dreams that you never thought possible. I've watched you step out on faith and move when God told you to move. You have embraced the power within you and unlocked the gifts that were placed inside of you. That is a mouthful. That is a mouthful because you allowed yourself to be, again, transparent and vulnerable, to be able to say, I know you now can compliment yourself, right? Somewhat.
Right. It's
We're
funny.
still, it's a work in progress, right?
It is, and it's still hard for me to do it, but I will do it. I can do it now. And it's funny because today I did a post that I never thought I'd do, where I said that it's my time. I've worked hard, and I will be seen on my books and stuff will be seen on TV screens and movie screens, and I will win awards for doing different things. And I never thought I'd say that to myself, because I'm always the one who likes to be in the background.
Yeah. It's almost like speaking into existence. Once you speak it into existence, then everything else comes to fruition. And I always tell people, when you are around like-minded people who are there to uplift you, push you out there, encourage you, then everything else comes into play. We follow each other on a lot of social media platforms, and I've seen the growth in a lot of your posts, and I'm like, God, he's doing the thing. I consider you my brother from the sister from She Publishing. But I see the growth in everything that you're doing, from the photography. I mean, the pictures that you did with Shanita, those were fire. Those were beautiful. And I see the growth in you, and I just want to, I want to be a part of it, to say, you know what, I know Royce. I know him. We were in the same circles together, and I see the growth.
Right.
And it's good to be able to say that you're growing. And when you're growing, because I always tell people you never want to be stagnant, because if you're stagnant, then you're
Right.
not moving, right? You're not moving and you're not
Exactly.
growing. And so this little piece of what I've read tonight it's just an eye opener for people to see your growth. And even at the end of your love letter, it was like, wow, like I can see the evolution and all that he's done. I've only known you a couple years, but
Yeah.
still in those 2 years, I've seen that growth. And kudos to you, because you're doing the,
Thank you.
excuse my French, the damn thing. So tell the people a little bit about all your books. Tell them about your books. Tell them about what you're doing as an entrepreneur, all that good stuff. We're gonna plug you tonight on Creative Conversation.
So let's start with, this was my clothing, my own clothing line. I did all the design work. I don't really like wearing name brand clothes, other people clothes, and make them rich, or that stuff doesn't mean anything to me. So me and Lisa wanted to start our own clothing line that just reminded people that we are blessed to be a blessing to others. Genesis 12:2. So we started Be Blessed Clothing. And then from there, I started writing. I go with my first book, Hidden Feelings. I don't know if you
Yes.
see that.
Yep.
There it goes.
Yeah.
So I started writing Hidden Feelings. It was just simply talks about why men have a hard time sharing their feelings or showing their emotions based on what we've learned, what we've been through, what society tells us that how men are supposed to be. And I wanted to be able to be a help to other men who felt like I did. And with everything that I've learned in court or just in life in general, I kind of put it all into a story about with an attorney who speaks for a living but doesn't know how to express himself when it comes to his girlfriend. And so from there, I wrote Blessed While Broken. There's kind of
It's
bad.
beautiful.
But it's a book about, me and my wife's on the cover, and it's about our marriage and divorce and then getting remarried. We were married for 18 and a half years before we got divorced. And then we eventually got back together about 6 months, got remarried 2 years later on the same exact date. So we still have the same anniversary date. And now we've been together 30 years total. Well, we've been married 30 years, not counting the 2 years off, and then the 2 years that we were together. So we've been together a long time.
Very long time.
Off and on. Yeah.
That's true black love.
Then I came back. Yeah. And then I wanted to do something for kids. This was right during COVID. So 2020, I wanted to encourage my little cousin who, they weren't in school, but I wanted him to keep learning. And so I wrote this book for him. I did all of the illustrations myself, and I give back 10% of everything that I sell from this book to him for his college tuition.
Wow,
and
that's
so
amazing.
Just an encouraging way of me keeping him going with his education. And then this is my latest book that's published, Hidden Feelings Revealed, There's There More, which is kind of part 2 to my first book, Hidden Feelings, but it can be read separately without reading the first one. You kind of the gist of what the book is about. So in this one, Troy, the lawyer, my main character, learns how to get help. And we as Black men don't like to go to talk to anybody about our feelings or what we've been through. But he chose a different way. He chose to go talk to a psychiatrist and his pastor and learn how to express himself in the midst of trying to solve a murder mystery and get his client off of murder.
Wow.
So that's it for those 4. And then my newest book, A Rose on the Concrete Court, is a redemption story. And there's a lot to unpack because the dad grows up, he's a basketball star. He grew up, in the neighborhood. Everybody knows him. He goes off to college and blows out his knee. While he's doing that, he had got this young lady pregnant, and they had twin boys. So now they want to grow up and be like dad. Dad's now a hustler because he's not working. He's still upset about hurting himself. And now he has these 2 boys that he's trying to raise, and there's not a whole lot of money coming in. So the boys, like I said, the boys grew up trying to follow in his footsteps, and they get caught up in some stuff. And you got one good twin, one not so good twin, who they take different paths to where they want to go.
Right.
So I don't want to tell too much of that story because I want people to go out and buy that book.
Of course.
And then I
And I
have the
will
book with you and Pam.
And I'm going to show the audience the book that you're in right now. It's going to pop up between us, but so that it's Love Letter Chronicles, Book 3, A Love Letter to You. Again, we want people to know in this book that it's okay to not be okay. We say that very so often, but it's so true.
Yeah.
It's okay to say you're not okay. It's okay to seek therapy. It's okay to say, you know what, today I don't have the bandwidth to really deal with this right here over here. So give me some space. It's okay to say, you know, I'm a man and I got some trauma over here. I got some stuff that I'm dealing with and I just need my space. And that could be for just men and women. But I want people
Right.
to know that therapy is a good thing. Therapy works
Mm-hmm.
if you put the work into it. I'm a
Right.
big component of it because I go to therapy. It's a wonderful thing. It's a person that is looking out for the best interest of you. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's they're allowing you to really dig deep into some stuff that might be buried down that you probably never thought would never come up to be seen the light of day. But therapy works
Right.
if you work with it. And
Yeah.
again, just being transparent, being able to tell your story, tell your truth. And this is what this book is about, really talking about, you know, and everybody in this book is in a different journey. Everybody's not at the same,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the same junction in life right now. Everybody is going their own path, but you can see we have some people that came back from the last book that we did, and what the goal was for people to actually uh, take a year and do the work and then write another
Right.
letter and see how much you have grown. And in this book, it gives you kind of, in the second book, it gives you like steps and stuff, but this one, it allows you to start to write your love letter for yourself. But it also gives you some key things in here talking about therapy. What does trauma look like? It gives all this good information that I learned through therapy. And I tell people I am not a therapist, but you know, walking the walk, I can kind of
Mhm.
tell the story too, right?
Right.
So being able to tell the story and being able to feel good about saying it. And I'm so glad that, like I said, you had the opportunity. Now you could tell your friends, have you written a love letter to yourself? And then they'd be like,
Right.
no. And you'd be like, oh, let me tell you, it is therapeutic. And so I thank you.
You know, I did that.
Did you?
I asked some
Okay.
people, have they ever written, my parents, I asked Lisa, I've asked
Uh,
some other people, have they ever written a love letter to themselves? And like you said, most of them said no.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I tell people all the time, you know, when I came up with that concept, it was just in a really, when I was in a really dark space after having my stroke, not being able to do absolutely anything for myself, couldn't bathe, couldn't talk, couldn't do anything for myself. And I was questioning, you know, as humans, we question a lot of things when we're going through, you know,
Mhm.
those dark times. And I said, you know what? I cannot continue to live in this dark space. I have something to give. And so I said, let me start writing a love letter to myself. Because I love myself. How much do I love myself? And I was like, you know, when I first started, it was little by little, but as I started writing it, and it was cathartic, it was like, wow, like an eye opener for me, like, wow. And I didn't realize
Mhm.
how much trauma I had buried so deep down inside, because now I'm this mother. I'm working every day. Everything else becomes second nature. It's just talking about taking care of family. It was never about taking care of me. And so when I lost that ability to take care of myself, I lost myself and I didn't love
Yeah.
myself. So I had to figure out how to love myself. And that came in writing. So I keep asking people about a love letter to themselves and see how many, just give them the opportunity to say, hey, go take a piece of paper and start writing. And I'm gonna tell
Mhm.
you, it does wonders. It really does. It does wonders. But I
Yeah.
am so grateful for you to be the first author to say yes to this invitation, and you will be the first letter to be appearing in this book. So I thank you
Mhm.
so much for taking the time out tonight to kind of tell people it's okay not to be okay, but it's okay to write your own love letter. write your
Right.
own story. And so, other than that, what else is going on with you? Anything else coming down the pipeline that we need to know about?
Other than my newest book, A Rose on the Concrete Court, that's my biggest baby right now. I just finished
Mhm.
the first round of editing, so hopefully
Yeah,
it'll be out soon. Um, and then just busy taking pictures. Photography has truly taken off like I never
yeah.
thought it would, because I don't advertise, per se. I put stuff on Facebook, but that's my only form of advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And people have, they like what they see. And I
Mm-hmm.
never knew that God had given me the gift of that. It
Mm-hmm.
started out with me loving to draw when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to write a comic book to kind of, show off my artwork.
Mm-hmm.
But then I stopped drawing once I got a little older, and it kind of lost the touch.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I picked up the camera, it's like the camera is like my new pencil. And so
Yeah.
now when I see things, I want to capture those images. And
Mm-hmm.
it's been truly been a blessing for me, because I've stayed busy quite a lot.
Yeah.
And then just
Man, I
capturing
saw,
different moments, not just for me, but for other people.
let me tell you, I saw
So
some
that's
things
truly
that
been a
you
blessing.
posted. I'm sorry. I saw something you posted the other day, and you had like 74 pictures, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And I went through every one of them. I said, "Look at there! I mean, he got them angles down. Look, I mean, you can see the crease." I was like, "Look at Royce! He doing that thing." I said, "Yes." I'm just reading comments from She Publishing. She is actually Shanitha. She is in this book as well too, and she was saying that her love letter was totally different from her first one. She was the first person I asked the question about, had she ever written a love letter to herself, and she said the exact same thing that you did. And so I see the evolution, because she was in the last book. I see the evolution in her writing to her love letters, year by year. And so that's what I want people to be able to go back 2 years or 3 years to see the evolution of their love letters and see how they've changed and they have grown. And that's what we want to do. We want to be able to say we've grown.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's the biggest thing. What have you done differently that you didn't do last year that you're doing this year? How have you made a indent in whatever that might be, whatever, as they say, those first of the year, they have those what is it, the resolutions. What
Resolutions, yeah.
resolutions did you put out last year that you are really doing something this year? And so this is really the resolution for your love letters, seeing what you did the year before, and then next year, let's see what, if you decide to take on the invitation next year, let's see how much you've grown from this one in 2025. What 2026 look like? So I'm excited about
Yeah.
that. So I guess
Sign
I've
me
already
up.
look, I think I put that out in the atmosphere. There must be a book, another one coming in
Yeah.
2026, right? I'm gonna keep
Sign me up.
sign you up. I got you. I wanna keep being obedient to what God has asked me to do, and this is what He's asked me to do. Take people who are not authors, allow them to write their stories, and feel good about it, because you guys will get a free book and be able to show it to people, and you can go back and rewrite your story again. You know what I'm saying? So every chapter is a different chapter in everybody's book. So again, I am just happy that you took on, like, again, the invitation to be a part of this book. I'm just truly happy. Um, Other than that, I don't know what else I want to say other than thank you so much. I really would love to bring. Eventually, it will be a conversation with me and Pamela Coleman, as it relates to me and mental health, and kind of collaborating a little bit along the lines, because she's doing some other things. What's the name of that book that you're doing with Pamela?
Is it Unmasked? Give me 1 second. I just posted the two of them together, I think.
Oh, okay.
The Unspoken is titled Real Talk.
Okay, Unspoken Real Talk.
And,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I will be purchasing that book as well too. I'm purchasing everybody's book. I want to see what's going on with everybody. But Again, Mr. Royce Dixon, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time out of your day to come and sit with little old me on Creative Conversations with Dr. C. We are just not only authors, we are kinship now. We in this publishing game together. We're going to keep spreading this love and letting people know that they are loved, that they mean something, that they bring something to the table, and that by spreading this word, and especially in this climate that we're in today, we need to spread as much love as we can. And if that means when we see people, matter of fact, I did it the other day and I felt so good. I was coming from the store and this gentleman, he was down on his luck. And I just told him, I said, you know what? Even though you don't think that you are worthy and you are loved. And so if we keep on encouraging other people to say that they're loved, just to stand in the mirror, you might be scrappy looking or whatever, but you're still loved. And so we want to continue to spread that message that you are loved. And I'm hoping that this next book will showcase that love for our fellow people, because we're going to need it in these next 3.5 years. We're going to need it. So I'm going to let you close out, Mr. Dixon, and then we're going to say goodnight for tonight.
Right. Well, first of all, let me say thank you to you for even asking me. I know last year when you asked me, I wanted to do it, but I had so much other stuff going on that I didn't know if I'd have the time to really write like I wanted to. And so when you asked me again this year, I had to jump on and just do it, because it means a lot. You know, especially when you told me the title, Write a Love Letter to You, that was so intriguing. And it just made me think, like I said, that I've never done it before. So shout out to you for what you're doing, letting God use you and lead you in doing this for the last 3 years, or was it 3 years? So keep going. If that's what God tells you to do, keep going. And whenever you need me, I'm just a phone call away. You got my number. Shout out to She Publishing.
Yes.
Call me.
That's it.
Shout out to She Publishing and Shanita. She's great. I mean, I don't know. I could be here all night just talking about how good she is and her team and everything She Publishing has done for me. So, and then to my incredible wife, I got to give her a shout out, because none of this would probably be possible if it wasn't for her. And then her pushing me and giving me the space to do me and support me in any way we can, because she comes along with me to all the trips, and it wouldn't be the same without her. So I have to thank her. But I truly enjoyed writing and doing this, and I'm here for it. I truly think it's important what you guys are doing, especially with men's mental health, and then letting people know that they're loved. And take off the mask. You don't always have to be dialed up. You don't always have to be fresh cut, shaven, whatever, to love yourself. Because you can't love yourself when you're not looking like that. You can't really love yourself, because it's just a mask, and eventually that mask has to come off. And then you're going to see the real you. So love you for you. And like you said, it's okay not to be okay, and it's okay to seek help. Whatever that looks like. When we went through our marriage problems, when we started going to marriage retreats, I learned that those things are like getting your car checked on before it breaks down. So don't wait until everything is broken in order to try to get it, to maintain it, basically. But again, thank you for allowing me to be on your show. And anytime you need me, like I said, just give me a call and I'm there.
I thank you for putting out those words of encouragement to people, because I think sometimes when a man says those words, it speaks volume, especially when we're trying to hit men to come to the table and be vulnerable. So being able to hear from a man who has gone through some portions of that and understand that what that looks like makes a big difference, a really, really powerful difference in somebody. So I'm hoping that whoever is watching tonight, please know, as Royce said, that it's okay not to be okay, but it's also not okay to sit and feel like you're by yourself. You're not by yourself. Right. There's somebody else out here that is probably going through just what you're going through. And so we're hoping that this book, that this love letter, that these love letters will hit somebody and allow them to know that yes, we were right where you are. And some people that are in this book
Mhm.
right now are still in that mix of trying to figure out, how do I go left? Do I go right? How do I process any of this? Again,
Right.
I am a firm believer in therapy. And I tell everybody,
Mhm.
go get it. Go get it. And stop talking about the money. It's not about the money aspect. It's about
Right.
your survival. You have to want to survive. And survival means that I got to love myself to be able to survive. So I
Absolutely.
just, I can talk about this all night long because this is a passion of mine. But I wanted to say again, thank you, Royce, for again taking the invitation and taking the baton. And those who are out there, if you're wanting to do be a part of the Love Letter Chronicles book 4, please reach out to Royce. If you know Royce can put me in communications with you. I want as many people. You don't have to be an author, just write. Um,
Right.
I want as many people to put pen to paper. Again, I am a firm believer in legacy, and legacy comes in writing. So
Mhm.
please take the time and honor yourself and write your letter. Because at the end of the day, you don't want anybody writing things about you that are not true. Write them for
Right.
yourself because it's your words. So, with
Yep.
that being said, I am going to end this conversation, but never the end of the conversation. We will have more conversations like this that started tonight, which is April 17th, going all the way to May 15th. So please join us every Thursday up until May 15th to talk to all the different authors that are in this book. Some of them, not all of them are not going to be in them, but majority of them have decided they wanted to talk on camera. But I want people to take the time to listen to the conversations and really listen to the authors that have written their own stories. So with further ado, I'm going to bid you guys good night. But as always, I want you to remember to always take care of yourself. Please check on those people who we think are our strong friends, because they need to know that they are loved, that they are important, that we want to engage with them and let them know that they are a part of our circle. So remember that at the end of the day, you are you. You are wonderful. You are blessed. You are beautiful. Continue to love yourself. Continue to be your own unique self, authentic self. And without further ado, I'm going to say good night until next time. Be blessed and talk to you soon.